guess I should turn my mic on. Call the meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 4th at 6:04 p.m. And we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, good God. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We humbly acknowledge that we sit within the unceded traditional ancestral homes of the Chochenyo and Ohlone people who have occupied and cared for this land since a distant prior to the founding of the city of Richmond, prior to the California Statement, and for centuries before the establishment of the United States. As Recreation and Parks Commission, we strive to steward the land in a way that honors its past, current, and future inhabitants and take seriously the responsibilities of its continued care. Okay. Oh, goodness, do I not have this here?
Oh, mission statement. Okay, I'm sorry, mission statement.
The mission of this council is to advise the city council and city staff to provide excellent parks and recreation facilities, to preserve open space, and to provide programs that enrich, educate, and serve the needs of the diversity of the residents in Richmond. You want to call roll or?
Commissioner, check, 1, 2. Roll call. Chair,
Present.
Vice Chair,
Present.
Secretary,
Present.
Treasurer.
Present.
Maren is absent tonight. Jake Rogers. Alexander Roney
Present.
and Joey D. Smith.
Present. Okay. Individuals in the audience may speak for 2 minutes as follows. For items not on the agenda, staff will recognize each speaker for open forum. For agenda items, staff will call on each speaker after the item is introduced. Please complete speaker card and provide to city staff. All communication during this meeting is conducted with courtesy and respect, and all speakers will be advised time is up and will be asked politely to end their time. This is agenda review and adoption. The order in which items will be heard may be adjusted by commission vote at this time. In addition, items may be removed from or placed on the consent calendar at this time. I will ask commissioners for a motion to proceed.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So, individuals who would like to address the commission on matters not on the agenda may do so during open forum for 2 minutes per speaker. Please come forward if you wish to speak during open forum.
We have one speaker, Cordell Hindler. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So, good evening, Chairman Yoni, commissioners. For the record, I am Cordell Hindler, and I have some wonderful news to share with you all. But first, I do want to welcome Commissioner Roney to this commission, and thank you. That was the best. This is the best news I've been waiting to hear. We need more people. So, I do have an update though. So I did attend the Richmond Youth Council meeting last month, and I have encouraged them to fill the remaining slots because the youth have utilized our spaces, and it's very important to hear from their perspective. So that's one. But coming up tomorrow is you're all invited to the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference at the Richmond Country Club, and the tickets are only $80 a person, and that includes dinner. And even though you did not RSVP, you can still come to hear the presentation that's being presented. And what else coming up? Oh yes, coming up this Saturday evening, the Richmond Community Foundation's having their gala at the Berkeley Country Club, and it's only $250 a person, including champagne. And coming up on the 24th, you're all invited to the Chamber of Commerce's breakfast. Our guest speaker will be Tim Simmons, who will be sharing with us about what kind of partnerships that the police and the community have, like, building together relationships. So it's free too. There will be a good breakfast too at the Courtyard Marriott. And what else did I have? Oh yes. So I was talking to a neighboring city of ours, El Cerrito, and I have noticed that the parks get utilized quite a bit by visitors. And I'm thinking to myself, we need to have something like that. Like, we need to have better signage because as a resident myself, it's like I've observed people be inside the park, after a certain time. And so I'm thinking like we need to have some more, there need to be some more patrolling around that area. So I'll just leave it at that. And I'll be coming to these meetings every month.
Thank you. No other speakers?
Thank you. The next Recreation and Parks Commission meeting is Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. We currently have $413.08 in the commission trust account, and we do have some membership changes. Welcome Jake Rogers, who was appointed on December 16th, 2025, and Alexander Roney, who was appointed on January 20th, 2026. And we welcome you here. Believe me. Yes, that's all.
Do we have time for introductions?
Sure. I just wanted one more chair thing, if you don't mind. Forgot the day already. February 25th at 6 o'clock at Neestrom School, they'll be having their second round of checking out MLK Community Center and what people's ideas are for the area. So I think we should all show up or do the best we can to get out there so we can, help them and see what they're looking at too. I know I didn't make it, but we can do it next time. So yes, let's go ahead with introductions. Do you two you start? Jake, would you like to start?
Sure.
Turn on your microphone.
I don't even know how to do that.
Push the little red, there you go, you got it.
There we
right
go. Learning. So, yeah, my name is Jake Goldman Rogers. I grew up in Richmond, born and raised, and left at some points and then came back, and happy to be back raising my family there. I have 2 sons and a dog and a cat, and yeah, I'd love to get involved in things like this and was very curious about this. I think I ran into the vice mayor and he was talking about quorum challenges and things like that. And that got me curious enough to go a little deeper, and very happy to be here and curious to see what I can help with and yeah, what we can do.
Alexander, your turn.
Sure. So similarly to Jake, I am from the Richmond Annex, and I have 2 kids of my own, a son and a daughter. And prior to my current job at UC Berkeley, I worked for a bunch of environmental groups. So I'm excited to learn more about this commission and the work that we can do. Thank you.
Jen?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen, Richmond resident. Very excited about that. I have a nonprofit called Bad Business Model Bikes in Richmond, where we take donated bikes from people who, for whatever reason, don't ride them. we repair them for free, and then we give them back to people in the community. So we serve all of the East Bay, but mostly Richmond. So, thanks.
I'm Jan Mignoni. I'm the chair. I, like Jake, was born and raised in this city, and I actually live in the house I grew up in, so, you know, it's goes around. But I've played in most of these parks as a kid, so I know a lot about what's going on here. I've pretty much been on every street somewhere around. Every once in a while there'll be a street, and I go, where in the world is that? But, you know, but then I find out, and then I'm better. And I ended up here because I have a park around the corner from my house, that Wendell Park, which was where I played as a kid. And there was something going on. We've had issues we have a little mini pitch court, and we had people coming in from outside putting on tournaments with loudspeakers and all kinds of fun. Yeah, you know, food, everything. And it got to, you know, be a little of an issue. So I was going to come here, and there was no commission to come to. So I stepped up and said, this is what I should do. And the mini pitch courts are still open, even though the park itself is all fenced around and everything. But RPD has been coming through and telling them it's 10 o'clock, leave. So I'm excited, you know. So we don't have any craziness. We don't have, you know. So it's been kind of nice. And especially the people that, you know, whose back of their houses are around there, you know. So that's been really nice.
Gentlemen, welcome. My name's Samantha Torres. I've lived in Richmond 11 years. I'm originally from the Central Valley, so Richmond is my chosen home. I'm a teacher at Richmond High. I live in North and East. I have 2 children. And I'm really involved in youth sports. I'm on the chair of several youth sports committees. And this is my 3rd year on the commission. Welcome.
Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you here. Hope that you will remain happy to be here. My name is Joey Smith. I am the immediate past chair of this commission, and I got started quite a bit ago when I was requested by the president of my neighborhood council back then, saying, hey, we could use someone who's thoughtful about what's going on around here. And I said, well, it depends upon what day it falls on. And I just happened to not have any meetings on the first Wednesday of the month. So I didn't have any real excuse to not say yes. And it has turned out to be a wonderful experience for me. I worked around Richmond way longer than I've lived here, but I have been living here for 21 years. So, welcome.
Hi guys, welcome. My name is Mike Warren. I live in East Richmond. I'm part of our neighborhood council and another neighborhood group for one park in particular. My family spends a lot of time outside. We do lots of bike riding. We explore the city. We love using our parks. My son has special needs, so I think when I go to these parks, I have a different lens that I look at things through. And I think sitting here has given me some insight into that as well. So, welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Move to the consent calendar. We only have one item. It's approval of the minutes from December 3rd, 2025. Do we have any changes or comments, or anybody missing something, or? You two don't have to worry about you weren't here. No, I think everything was here.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as posted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? And we have 2 abstentions, but they weren't here, so that's the way it works. All right. Yeah, department reports. Start with Public Works. Jason Lacey and Alex White.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners, and a warm welcome to our new commissioners. For the record, Jason Lacey, Parks and Landscape Superintendent. I'm going to go over a couple staffing in our division. Actually, I should tell everyone there's a new terminology that we're starting to use. Instead of divisions and sections, we're units now. So we're the Parks and Landscape unit. Kind of new for us. It doesn't roll off the tongue as the other ones did. So on some staffing updates, we've recently onboarded one of our vacant supervisor positions. The gentleman that joined us, his name's James Olson. He's joining us from the city of Vallejo. He has 26 or 27 years of experience with them. He's a certified arborist. He's going to oversee the right-of-way in the tree unit. We have an offer letter out to our last vacant supervisor position, and that's going to be in the Marina Bay. And so we're in the process of onboarding our last supervisor position. We are also in the recruitment process for our 2 tree trimmer positions, so hopefully we'll have those 2 positions filled in the next month and a half or so. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Alex, and he can cover some of the stuff that we've been working on.
Good evening, everybody. So there's just some general little projects here that we've been working on. So over at Rain Cloud, we trimmed down the ivy. And part of that is with the ivy that grows in there, it helps with some of the with the duff that builds up there. So we go through there once a year and clean that up. We had a tree failure over at Booker T. Anderson. We've been going around at Booker T. Anderson, cleaning, working on the ball fields and the bleachers as well. And so in a lot of the backstops, we are putting on new fabric on them. So this is the time of the year we're doing a lot of ball field grooming. And then you see doing a lot of kind of spring cleanup in certain areas that you saw there in Teresa's pathway. Next slide, please. So a big one here at Unity Park. The bunch of the pieces for multiple years had been down. So we finally were able to purchase them. And that's our guy there, Jose Morales, installing all the new slides and other aspects of the playground there. Next slide, please. Some ongoing projects. So we're collaborating with Fierce Advocates over at Humphrey Playlot. So right now in discussion with a planting plan with them in the 19 planting bowls that are on the outside of the playlot. And we're also exploring the drainage improvements there because that's been a big issue. Partnering with Friends of Tiller Park. It's been an ongoing project here for a year with kind of slow incremental improvements. On February 24th, scheduling to meet with them to discuss kind of further ideas for the park there. Humboldt Park. So how familiar you are with Humboldt Park, you know, it backs up over to near the freeway there. There's a lot of unhoused people who end up on the Caltrans side, and so we are looking to upgrade the fence through there. On the north side, there's kind of an open area that used to be an adopt-a spot that had gone to waste basically, and so we cleared that. We're going to put a little 3-foot high fence there to deter illegal dumping. We're planting some coastal oaks in there as well. And then we'll have some shrubs there along the basketball court. Nevin, we are making a big push to upgrade that and provide a lot more trees. So there's a lot of what we call opportunity sites at Nevin for tree planting. Removed a lot of areas that were being used as restrooms, shall we call them, and shrubs that we removed. And then there's some fence repairs throughout there. Nickel Park, So we're continuing along there around the tennis courts. Two different things we're going to be trying over there, and one of them is kind of overplanting in the planters there to deter some individuals from using that spot. Also looking to install some motion sensor lights, and then working on resurfacing 2 of the courts. And as I mentioned before in the last slide, Booker T. Anderson, we're working on a lot of the backstops to improve those. Next slide, please. So James provided a little bit of information for us to share with you tonight. So in the trees, again, he was hired here on the 12th. January 12th, excuse me, identified outstanding work orders, began process to inspect and verify completion or schedule work, scheduling new work orders, as well as catching up on outstanding calls for service, and then collaborating with other public works sections to coordinate needed tree work, getting himself integrated into that aspect of the city. Right-of-way, continuing weed abatement on medians and right-of-ways throughout the city, inspecting and verifying locations of water meters and irrigation controllers, cleaned up areas in and around Unity Park in support of MLK Day celebration, cut weeds and cleaned up trash to support monthly Richmond Main Street downtown walking tours. Next slide, please. So the Ferry Point pump station, so we had, some of you may know Jose. This was kind of his last project before he went up to the hilltop. And so they went through the Ferry Point there and installed some kind of no-mow grasses and other plantings through there and added irrigation as well. And that's all, I believe that's all we got here. Is that, yeah. Questions?
Thank you for your report. I actually don't have a question except for, what is it, the no-mow grass? What is?
It was a
is
term that became really popular for types of kind of bunch grasses. It was sold as no maintenance type grass that you could just plant and leave it. Not entirely true, but so it'll grow, and then it's not like
So they
turf that we
grow
have.
in like little bunches instead of, okay, got it, thank you. I wanted to give kudos for the work that was done on the, I guess, the hedges on McDonald, on the other side of City Hall. There had been requests, but maybe they didn't reach the right ears. And considering the number of people who continue to work until after dark and they need to exit in that area, they feel appreciation, they feel safer, and security has reported that they feel better because they can watch them easier. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for the updates. The fencing up at MLK Field, you were mentioning people using the parks as restrooms. The fencing that was placed up so that people can't access the backside of the MLK bathrooms has been hugely helpful. I did still see someone peeing on the chain link, but progress, so yeah, thank you for that. I understand why we need physical barriers for things like that. About the backstop repairs, so a lot of our backstops need work, a lot. And so I'm just curious how you're prioritizing this. Are you considering special assessment districts first, or how are you going about deciding which backstops need love first versus others?
Currently, I've just been asking and trying to support my leads to make sure that they are coordinating with their staff to identify what backstops need to be improved, and then providing the materials, and then having them schedule out the time to do it. So it's that's kind of the steps that we've taken so far.
Would you be open to public input? Like if there's a specific group that wanted specific backstops worked on, would you be receptive to that?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, just checking, because I know the Lucas Park backstop could use a little love. I know Wendell's getting worked on, and I'm sure that's in progress, you know. But yeah, I do know that with spring season, spring ball coming up, that's a concern. And then last thing, I can't think of it right now. Okay, I'll pass. I drew a blank.
Thanks for that report, guys. I'm very happy to hear that Humboldt had made it on your list. The sign painting for Humboldt looks great. And I'm happy to hear about the fence as well and the live oaks. That's just great news. For Tiller Park, the handrails going in, and that also looks really awesome. So thanks, guys. I noticed when I was walking my dog the other night that all the lights were out in the park. And I don't know if that's something you guys knew about. This was probably about four days ago or so, or it might have been just that night, but just a heads up on that one.
Humboldt Park, you said?
Sorry, Tiller Park. In your report, you also had the ball field grooming. Is that all ball fields? Is that on a schedule? That is, yeah.
Yeah, so currently, 2 of our crews have finished, starting tomorrow. The crew that overlooks Tiller and Nickel and some of those other parks are starting.
Great. I saw in your report too, you had a meeting with Tiller Park. I'm part of that group, and so they're pretty excited about that. I want to encourage them to come here and see it right in this forum rather than you going there, but that's great. That's all I have now. Thank you.
I'm just excited to see that we have a new tree person who's out there working on the street trees, because that's such an issue. And I'm always afraid to call him in, because in the past, we had one tree that somebody called in and it ended up being 2 feet tall. I mean, they literally just chopped it all down. And so the homeowner was not happy that that happened, you know, and so it's good. I mean, there's a lot of places where we have trees that cover signs and lots of different things. And so just having somebody that's out there paying attention to them is really important. And it, you know, helps with the life of the tree too. We have a tree down between 24th and 23rd Street, and I don't know how they've been trimming it, but there's always a big part that ends up getting knocked off somewhere, you know, in the road in Mill Street. And I'm always like, well, if you trimmed, you know, if you did your canopy, and it would be okay. And I can't figure out what they're doing. So I'm glad to hear there's somebody that's taking it on.
Just back on Tiller Park, I know the park sometimes gets heavy use from just street people that park there, and they just dump their garbage, which is understandable. But coming into summer, the park does get a lot of use, and I'm just curious about the trash pickup. What do you guys increase the frequency of that in the summer? Just want to know what that looks like.
Yeah, so we've put an extra emphasis here on making sure that we are providing more service in regards to trash pickup. We've incorporated another individual into that process where he was more on kind of the street can sides, and so we're bringing him into the parks a little bit more. So, okay, good.
I remembered what I forgot to say earlier. Regarding Wendell mini pitches, the courts. There was, I attended the field users meeting, and we actually talked about exactly what Jan was saying, that there are these unpermitted users who make a big old mess and use the courts. One of the staff had mentioned they're looking into locking up the courts at night, but that requires staff that are available to come and like lock it up at 10 or something. So is there any movement on that? I mean, I heard it, but I haven't heard it here. So is that a possibility, or what's possible for something like that? Is that more of a CSD question, less Public Works?
Yeah, that gets a little bit more into, I think, if it's rented, right? I mean, if people are using it, if it's unauthorized, that is enforcement, right? And so that's the challenge for us. And so PD, we can put in requests for them to patrol more in particular areas. We don't have staff that's working off hours. We have crews that are ready to respond in emergencies, but we don't think it's at a point now that we're going to have like a swing shift or an evening shift for anyone. It's not currently on our plate and it's not in discussions for us.
Got it.
We're open to creative ideas of, maybe a combination, but you've been in sports leagues. You know how a combination gets out and next,
Yeah.
everyone has it, right? And so that can take a little bit of, just a little bit of logistics to get that done. We're willing to work with folks. Right now, we don't think it's at a level that we're going to staff to have people go around.
Yeah, thank you. This particular issue is adults using those courts for paid tournaments, unpermitted, unauthorized, and they'll set up like a little night market on the cul-de-sac. I mean, it's a whole vibe. It's unpermitted and no one's prepared for the amount of trash. No one's permitted. I mean, the parking's a disaster. The residents can't get in and out. So it's not that I'm not, it's just, it needs to be legit. It needs to be permitted. It needs, oversight. And so, anyways, that was discussed at the recent meeting. And I'm not one to be like, yeah, lock up the fields, but it seems like if that is an option, maybe sometimes, I don't know, that would be something worth exploring. Thank you.
I can tell you, I am been talking with Darcy, who is the project manager for Wendell, and she's talked about getting QR codes so we can find out, okay, you have a permit? Let me see. Here's my QR. Wait a minute, you don't have a permit. I can call the police, you're gone. Yeah. So we've been talking about the kind of, and it should be something we should have everywhere, if there's an issue with it. I mean, this was, it was like once a month we had them. And these people turn the microphones on at 8 o'clock in the morning and they go till 8 o'clock at night. And, some people don't want to hear their mic, it's crazy. I mean, I have people who play music behind me all the time now. So I'm like, okay, is it time to turn, I'm like, time to turn it off, people, I've heard enough. But we're trying to think of all of those kind of things. And I'm sure there are things that whatever we come up with here, they can use it at Shields Reed while they're doing that. So, the more we can do, the better it'll be. The same thing with MLK, with, whatever we can do there. Just trying to find a way, yeah. I mean, we've had conversations about, having automatic locks that, boop, hit the button, you're done. But we got to see what works. But, yeah, I understand, yeah, it's crazy. Do you have any?
I do. I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys for your work that you're doing at Booker T. Thank you, big time. Also today, I was in my neighborhood and I just walked by Booker T. And one of my neighbors, she was having this, and I don't know if this is something that would be something feasible in the future to do at parks, where they would do these installs of the rain, like the big rain barrels, but they would do these really cool, I actually got the person's information and probably would like to share that with you via email if that's okay. But what they do is they connect like the big rain barrels, but it pulls off into like almost like it creates almost like a beautiful like little pond for water, and you can grow all kinds of plants and stuff around this. I'm not the brightest when it comes to irrigation or anything like that. I won't pretend to be, but I have a picture of it. It was really cool, and it was just done in our neighbor's yard. And it was something that was part of, I forget what program within the city, but they were going out to different, they were looking at, they actually came to my house and looked at it to see what they could do. So it's not something that they're doing for profit. They're doing it within grants and things like that. But if you'd like, I would love to exchange that information with you. So I thought it was a really cool environmentally, way that we can really showcase our parks, but also our neighborhoods, our yards, things like that. Just thought about that. Again, thank you for your work at Booker T. It's appreciated.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Okay. Community Services turn.
Good evening. I'm Troy Porter, Recreation Supervisor, And unfortunately, Rajana Maharaj wasn't able to make it tonight. Busy working on our budget for next year so we could do a lot of great programs and other activities. I brought tonight Maurice Range, who's the coordinator of Booker T. Anderson and also works in the sports department. And he's going to give a few reports as well. I'm going to start with you see a photo right there. It says Tiny Heroes Program at Nevin Community Center. And probably a lot of you didn't know we have an early childhood program at Nevin, Shields Reed, May Valley, and Parchester. And it's not a traditional preschool, it's a drop-in with your parents, and we lead programs, teach them letters and numbers and read books. And it's a really fun program from 10 to 12, Monday through Thursday. So if you ever want to stop through and see our little tiny heroes, we would appreciate it. Next slide. Upcoming President's Week Camp. This came so quick. Every year, we kind of combine to do one citywide camp for the main breaks like President's Week and spring break and winter break. So that's going to be February 17th through the 20th at the Richmond Recreation Complex. $20 for residents. Where can you find a camp for $20? And it'll run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And actually, we do have extended care available as well. Next slide. And futsal started. I know Samantha's familiar with futsal, but I'll let Maurice tell you a little bit more about what's going on in futsal.
So how you guys doing? I'm Maurice, like Troy said, Recreation Program Coordinator for BTA. We had the Futsal League, which started early January. It's an 8-week program that runs to close to the last week of February. The league is run on Saturdays and Sundays based on the amount of teams that we have registered. Teams practice at our facilities on Mondays, Tuesdays, well, actually Monday through Friday. It depends on the schedule. Mondays and Tuesdays, they're at the rec, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they're at BTA. And that's what's going on with futsal. We had our candy cane tournament last year in December. We had about 6 teams that participated. We had some schools. We had a Richmond PAL team and a BTA team that participated, which PAL took first place and BTA took second place, which was okay. But it was still the city teams won instead of the school team, so that was great. But we do the annual candy cane tournament each year, and that was that for basketball for that portion of it.
And the candy cane's been going for like 50 years. It was at one time hosted at the Richmond Auditorium. And we also had the Senior Winter Ball, which was very well attended. You can see the photos here. I don't know if anyone here attended. Anyone? Joey. Yeah. And yeah, the information for the Winter Ball is there. Commission on Aging and Community Services, Recreation held the 26th Annual Winter Ball, Saturday, 12/13, with over 300 guests, wow, who enjoyed a catered dinner, music from Digit Sounds, featuring Top Shelf and dancing throughout the evening. Next slide. Snowball Scholarship. So I believe that was postponed. Yes, so for the West Contra Costa seniors graduating in 2026, you have to complete your application by February 27th, 2026. It got moved to March 7th, so interviews will be on March 7th at the Richmond Senior Center from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and then reception on March 21st at Laura's Fine Dining. And we would like seniors out there to put in an application. And I think I'm a judge this year. I've been a judge in the past, and it's really great to see all the talent we have at our high schools. These are really bright students that will do a speech and show a talent, and in the end, they get a scholarship money for college. Next one. Snow day. So it's going to snow in Nickel Park. Annually, we usually have it in December, but if you remember this past December, it was raining cats and dogs, and unless you're in Tahoe, the snow doesn't stick around very long. And so we're moving snow day, unfortunately, at Nickel Park. It was scheduled for December 22nd, and we had to postpone it due to weather, but we're excited to share the new date, which is February 18th. So coming up in 2 weeks, and we hope to see you there. It should be out on the grass at Nickel Park, and hopefully we take care of your grass out there, Alex. This is from in December around the Christmas vacation time. We had a winter break camp. Great success. There was more than 45 participants. I can vouch for that. There was probably 60 to 70 kids each week, and they enjoyed many crafts projects, including arts of acrylic pouring that created marble effects and fun patterns using paint. So there's some of those pictures there. And we look forward to this camp every year. Next slide. And this would be Stephanie and I, if Stephanie would like to come to the podium and talk about the Masquerade Ball.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephanie Nye. I'm an analyst with Recreation and Public Works. And my section is called Neighborhood and Volunteer Services for our new commissioners. I work on Liver Block, the Richmond Tool Library, and a variety of community programs, as a little bit of background. So Recreation hosted the Meet Your Neighbor Masquerade Dance on Saturday, January 10th at the Richmond Memorial Auditorium. About 150 community members joined us for this event to meet new people and celebrate our neighborhood councils for the work completed through the Neighbor to Neighbor grant from California Volunteers, Office of the Governor. From June 2024 through the end of January 2026, the City of Richmond and 17 of our neighborhood councils hosted 120 community events, workshops, and meetings that engaged over 4,500 residents. So a lot of work done by our neighborhood councils and city staff, and this masquerade dance was the culmination of that. This was our first time hosting such a dance, and funding permitting, we'll do it again in the future. So if you weren't able to make it, hopefully we'll have another one at some point. Next slide, please. On Monday, January 19th, Recreation and the Parks and Landscaping Unit partnered with Parchester Village Neighborhood Council and California Volunteers to host an MLK Day of Service event at Parchester Park and Community Center. 107 volunteers helped us spread 30 cubic yards of mulch throughout the park and 20 cubic yards of fiber in the playground area, as well as paint concrete planters a new bright purple color, which I think you can see there. Can we go to the next slide? The photos. Yeah, here are some after photos. At the Mary Peace Head Memorial Garden, volunteers also built, filled, and planted 4 new planter boxes with over 50 seedlings that will be nurtured by the residents. Following the volunteer event, a celebration was held at the community center with lunch, remarks from elected and civic officials, and a program honoring Dr. King's legacy. Do we have one more slide of photos? And that's the final photo from the volunteer event. I also just wanted to give a few general reminders and updates for the Neighborhood and Volunteer Services programs. The Richmond Tool Library is currently open Wednesdays and Fridays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Recreation Complex, 3230 McDonald Avenue. Richmond residents can rent tools for free when they sign up. All you need to do is bring your valid ID, proof of residency, and a Richmond Public Library card. The North Richmond Mobile Tool Library is our mobile unit of the tool library. It's grant funded, so currently only open to North Richmond residents. And that is open first and third Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the North Richmond Missionary Baptist Church at 1401 Fred Jackson Way. Although it's currently open to North Richmond residents only, we anticipate this will change in the spring or summer of this year. So we'll start opening up that program to the rest of Richmond residents. We're also planning to add an additional service location in District 4 in 2026. The Love Your Block in-kind sponsorship program continues to accept applications on a rolling basis. Applicants can request up to $1,000 in supplies for eligible volunteer beautification projects in the city of Richmond. And lastly, save the date for our annual Park Prescription Day, Saturday, April 25th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Park Prescription Day is a day where we all come together to celebrate the mental, physical benefits of our parks. We bring a lot of health community resources out, and we have a lot of programs that go on in the park that day. And this will be held at Nickel Park, if I didn't already say that. And that will conclude my updates. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a few more upcoming events. Our Black History Celebration will be Saturday, February 28th, 2026, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Richmond Memorial Auditorium, and the cost is free. You can't beat that cost. And you'll be able to enjoy some line dancing, music, and food. Also coming up is the Lunar New Year celebration, which will be Saturday, February 21st, 2026, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., also at the Richmond Memorial Auditorium. Cost is also free, which will include light refreshments and a performance by our Senior Center participants. That's all I have for now. If you have any questions, if there was a question about the scoreboard that's not working, that was one of the reasons I brought Maurice with us, but I can take questions about anything, including the parks that I supervise. Okay, back.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
So I love the tool library. I know that you have all expanded hours. How has that affected how many people use it? If you know offhand.
I don't know that number. I can certainly get it back to you. We did expand in the fall at the start of kind of us winding down for the season, and we're in winter now. So we're actually like waiting until the spring to see, when people start weeding and mowing and all of that, to see really how that's affecting us, whether there's going to be a huge volume, because it is already starting to show a little bit in the wear and tear of our tools. So there are definitely people using it on the expanded days, but I don't have the exact number. But I could certainly, obtain that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the updates. Lots of stuff happened in the last 2 months, so thank you. Yeah, so how are things at the rec gym? Scoreboard, heater, all that, what's going on?
The heater is working on on one end, but I can speak onto the scoreboard. The scoreboard, it was a lot. They came, checked it out. They told us it was something wrong with the power. I ended up calling the manufacturer. It's under warranty. It's only been 3 years, less than 3 years since we had it. But how the warranty works is we will hire somebody or have somebody figure out what the problem is. We'll take that problem out, send it to them, and they'll replace it with the part. That's what the warranty covers, the parts, not the maintenance or the work on it. So there was a lot of troubleshooting things that we could have did that I didn't know that we can do from the controller to to the scoreboard. They walked us through it, and the first step was put this code in, and then the code read whatever error it was. So now all we have to do is send them the controller and the receiver that's actually in the scoreboard, which we took it out. We sent that off on Monday. They'll get it probably by the end of the week or early next week. It's because they're on the East Coast in Atlanta. And then they'll fix it for free and send it back to us. We just had to pay to get it out there. And then the scoreboard should be back up and running once we get that back in. And the receiver is just a little thing in the front of the scoreboard that screws in with 4 screws and clamps back in, and now it should be talking to the scoreboard to cut it on. And I'm glad we did that, because the next step was to spend another $4,700 on another scoreboard. So it was like $100 for shipping, so.
Cool, good, glad to hear it. Good. We'll check in next month, I guess. I'm actually, so yes, I'm at futsal a lot. I coach the U8 team, but I'm not at the rec complex. Everything's at BTA, so I haven't had a chance to go rec this winter yet.
Okay.
So I'm really enjoying BTA. It's nice to have it back. So, but switching gears, Troy, you're still at Shields Reed, right?
I am.
Yeah. How are things? We're just all chomping at the bits to get it all up and running, you know?
Right. So am I. And our kids, just think of our kids that come there every day and they can't go out the back door and run onto that beautiful new park or the field. Yes. So the city manager did a report today to city staff, and the date was summer 2026 for all 3 fields under construction, right? Including Wendell and Borman and Shields Reed. Talking to Darcy, who is in charge of the Shields Reed build, she was hoping the phase 1 part can be open sometime this spring. But putting a date on it, is probably not a good thing to do, because it'll end up getting changed or pushed back. So, but they are in the punch list phase of the main park. Again, the sports field is going to be definitely this summer-ish.
Are we thinking it'll be ready for the summer festivals, summer music festivals and whatnot there? Hopefully, fingers crossed.
So we have an Earth Day celebration out there, and I asked them to book Lucky A's field and the phase 1 part of Shields Reed. So, if Shields Reed is still not open for some reason, it's dangerous, or we just don't get it signed off from the construction company, then we'll have to push everything to Lucky A's field. And then the music festival, the last couple of years, I think it's been a street festival. They've been doing it in the street. But the stage is I don't know if any of you have driven by, the stage is beautiful.
So beautiful.
It's going to be a great, concert venue and, celebration venue and things like that. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I wish I had a more solid date that I could give you, but unfortunately I don't. We'll keep crossing our fingers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I understand that there's some outreach for Booker T about what people want there. Is there or was that did someone give me incorrect information, which is not unusual?
I haven't heard of it.
Okay, yeah, somebody was telling, I was like, okay, that's not the question we were asking you, but that's okay. And I just wanted to add something. The Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council on Monday, February 9th, will have our 2nd annual Black History Month celebration. And what we end up doing is the elders of the neighborhood councils. So last year it was Naomi Williams. Oh my God, I always forget that. Naomi and Joe Fisher and not Park Plaza, Laurel Park. Why can't I can't think of her name. Anyway, that was who we had last one, huh? Yeah, Myrtle Braxton. Thank you. I just totally went out of my head. And this year we're going to be celebrating Doris Mason from Iron Triangle, AJ Jelani from Building Woods, and JC Farr from East Shore, and also Nat Bates, just as someone who has always been, supportive of the neighborhood councils. It'll be at 7 to 9. We're not having a meeting, so I don't know, but it'll be, if you're in the neighborhood, come on by. We'll have food in the Shimada room afterwards, but we should, hopefully we have lots of people. We had a good crowd last year, so hopefully it's a good one this year. They'll be getting proclamations from the city, from Gary Mindy's office, John Joya's office, RNCC. We have plaques. So yeah, we try to do a big thing. I mean, because it's, you have to realize this is a volunteer position, nobody. So, trying to, and make them, they've worked hard for many years, trying to keep things going. So, especially in, some of the neighborhoods that don't get as much respect or, acclimates as things going on. So we wanted to honor them, and we want to keep doing this as the years go on.
Any other questions?
We have a presentation from Gary Holbut, a discussion on implementing actions to deter vandalism at our parks.
Yes. Give us a second to get your slideshow up there, Gary. We're going to get your slideshow up.
You just turned me on. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I am president of the Richmond Tennis Association, and as Jan said, I'm here talking about the impact of vandalism at Nickel Park and some recommendations for dealing with that. And next slide. Oh.
Yes, good.
I'll get closer to you.
Yes, come on.
Next slide. Who's doing the slides? Oh, there it is. So these are the topics I'm going to talk about tonight. Is vandalism. We had major vandalism with the overhead court lights, courts 1 to 4. Also talk about destruction of the tennis court nets. And also we got a real issue with dogs and defecation on the tennis courts. So I'll talk more about that. And also we've got some humans doing the same kind of thing in that area. So it's a real problem for us. Restrooms, talk a little bit about what's happening in restrooms, trash pickup and removal, and resurfacing of courts 1 and 2, which Alex talked a little bit about earlier. Okay, next slide. So vandalism in Nickel Park, we've got great lights there, but unfortunately, about 6 months ago, somebody came in and did some major cutting of the wiring. It took us over 2 months to get it fixed, but PG&E had to come in and actually help get it done. Then after that, about 2 months ago, the center lights were also cut from the wiring on the courts, and they're still out. Lastly, last month, Court 3 wiring was cut. So I've had conversations with the electrical folks, and the problem is, throughout the city of Richmond, there's a lot of lights out, and the priority really is around neighborhoods that are more vulnerable than the tennis courts. Let's face it, I can't disagree with that. CJ said, however, what we're all hopeful of, there is funding in the city for solar lights installation by the end of the fiscal year, which should be July, which should solve this problem totally. So we're very hopeful of that one. And it's just senseless. They didn't even steal the copper, it's just cut wires, and who knows why somebody's doing that. Next. No, that's not the next slide. That's the last slide. There you go. Also, in November, December, we had 3 tennis courts, nets that were cut and had to be replaced. There's no other thing to do other than just replace them. Again, why is somebody doing that? Who knows? Next. You'll see, this is an entry to one of the courts, and you can see it was put up there specifically to say they're for tennis only, it's not for soccer, it's not for rollerblading, not for volleyball, and it's not for dogs. However, we've had a major problem with dogs, and I don't know if the next slide's in here or not. On this Monday, for example, I went up and helped set the courts up for a team match. It was at 10 o'clock in the morning, and there was a major deposit that one of the dogs had left right by Court 1. Court 1 is where we have that, along with Court 2, all of our youth tennis. So I cleaned it up and got that done. But it's just something with the courts being open. It's another problem that's occurring by, say, vandalism or just ignoring the facts and putting dogs. I can even be out there with practices, and somebody comes out with a dog, and I said, come back and read the sign. Dogs aren't allowed here. And they said, well, my dog's well behaved. It's not that. That's not the point. We're having major issues with dogs, making a mess here. Next slide. Okay. Actually, there was a slide in here that I took out that actually had a picture of me cleaning up the dog stuff, and Marin said, you really don't need to have that in front of the camera. So you don't need to see that. But all right. So the top 3 items I'm talking about here is happening because the courts are just open all the time, and you hate to lock them up. We used to lock the courts up 8 years ago, and then COVID happened, and we had a conversation between the rec department and ourselves, and said let's give it a shot, because vandalism had really dropped off quite a bit. As you can see, though, right now we've got a big problem just leaving it totally open all the time. So my recommendation is we really got to go back and lock it up, except for when, obviously, there are recreation events or RT events. I hate to do it, but it's just, this is totally unacceptable. But by the way, as I'm going through this, if there's any questions, I'll answer questions. Does anybody have any questions on those so far? Yeah, Mike?
I know vandalism just happens and it's really senseless. I'm curious, though, if regarding the lights, could that be a neighbor wanting to send a message like, hey, I don't like these lights on? I haven't been to Nickel Park, so I don't actually know the answer to that.
There really are no neighbors there. I mean, it's right next to the recreation building. And so it's not like where you've got
Light
neighborhoods
pollution.
right there, but no, I don't think so.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Alex?
So, I mean, you would know better than anyone. How popular are these courts for just open play, for people wanting to come?
Sorry, say again?
How popular are these courts for open play, for people just walking up and wanting to do it outside of the recreation events?
Okay, the way the schedule for the courts are, interestingly enough, the really good news, the youth program is really going very, very well. And so at 2:30 in the afternoon, after school's out, we have youth tennis on courts 1 and 2, goes till like 5:30 at night. We have 11 RTA teams that play against towns like Lafayette, Walnut Creek, et cetera. We have, so there's practices every day except for Monday. Monday is open tennis night, which says anybody can show up, you don't have to be on a team. Most of the rest of the nights are actually occupied by practices for the teams that play on the weekend. Most of the other matches are actually on the weekend. Saturdays and Sundays are very full. So the direct answer to your question, Monday is on open courts, to anybody can come. Also, there are 2 courts over next door. There's 4 courts right near the rec center, and there's 2 other courts that are not lit. Those are open all the time. So if people come by, for example, and there's a practice on a Wednesday night for a team, and people come by and they're not on a team, we say, hey, we have courts available, but it's only going to be available, when there's daylight. And that'll get better after daylight savings time happens. But they're very occupied because we just, the program's been very successful in how it's grown. Any other questions? Yeah.
So I've actually found that those 2 separate courts on the opposite side of the park are often locked. And I don't know if that's changed recently, but as of last summer, I remember them being locked often.
Those aren't locked anymore. They haven't been locked now for several months. And part of that was because when we locked those up, we really had a problem with people just cutting through the fencing to get into the courts. We just said, it doesn't make sense, leave them open. So we just left those open.
Okay.
Now, having said that, throughout the USCA season, there are different teams as far as age group and gender. There's mixed, there's men's and women matches at different times. The season is coming up is going to be 18 and over, but it's 2 singles courts and 3 doubles courts. So we actually use 5 courts for those matches for 10 weeks during the summertime. So back to how busy it gets, very, very busy in that time. But we left those 2 open just because people were just cutting right next to the skateboard park. It might not have anything to do with it, but maybe it does. I don't know. Who knows?
And a follow-up question. Just because I haven't really gotten a very clear answer over the years, could you explain what the MOU is between Richmond Tennis Association? Like, what is the relationship? What are the responsibilities of RTA with the tennis courts at Nickel and in general throughout the city?
Yeah, I've been working with Tay. There's a draft MOU in place that I'm still waiting for answers back on from the city, and he's not here tonight. But and we can make that available to everybody.
So because this would be a renewal, right? You've had an ongoing MOU for a while, like RTA has had an MOU that's
Yes.
yeah. So what does it entail?
It really talks about the commitment that RTA really has in helping maintain the courts. For example, things in there talk about RTA actually looks at all the tennis courts throughout Richmond periodically, like once a quarter, and comes back and says there are things that are missing. We go back and talk to Parks and Landscaping. It's a facility issue. We help some, and actually when we replace nets, we do it in a collaborative way with Parks and Landscaping. But we took on the additional responsibility of just saying we will actually do the monitoring throughout the city, not just on Nickel Park. Sam? Alexander?
I'm sorry if I'm belaboring this point. I'm trying to understand why someone would bring a dog onto a tennis court without, grass and whatnot. Is this because you can close the door and have the dog off leash? I'm seeing some nods. Okay.
Right.
All right.
So, the dogs just aren't allowed in the court because they're leaving deposits in the court. And we have a lot of members that actually play at USA teams, and they have dogs. And during the match, the dogs are there, but they're actually there's actually seating alongside the outside side of the courts. But the dogs are allowed. They're allowed in the park, and certainly they're allowed right outside the courts, just not on the court because of what's happening it isn't just me cleaning up the course, but I ended up doing a lot of cleaning up every couple of weeks. And does that help?
It does, thanks. And I imagine there's also potentially an issue with off-leash dogs going around a bunch of people, but that's not the main topic that we're talking about. So it does help, thank you.
Not much of that, actually, most of them. I mean, well, certainly the dogs where we have team members that are playing, they're on a leash outside the court because they're not in the court. Even on practices, they're not on the courts for us, for anybody, actually. Does that answer your question?
I have kind of 2 questions. One is actually for Parks, and we do have dog boxes at Nickel, correct? For people to, pick up, get the bags to pick up Do we know if we, the two of them are looking at me like I'm asking a crazy question. We have them at Berg. I've seen them at Berg, so I'm just wondering if there's other places.
So the doggy bag station.
Yeah, the doggy bag station.
Yes, we do have
Yeah.
the dog bag stations. It's pretty, we've been trying to get them up in all the parks if they're not.
Okay, yeah, that's just, because, I do know, at Berg, we have people who will, use the tennis court as a place to play ball with their dogs because they don't do well off leash, you know? I mean, that has to be my expression. I mean, I don't let my dog off leash. I mean, you're not supposed to. I mean, that's the rules, you know? And people don't understand that sometimes. And so, yeah, but, you know, I mean, if your dog does that, clean up after him. Geez. You know, I don't get it.
So I'm just saying, at this point, I think we got to go back to what we had before. And you know, just because now somebody's going to be looking at this all the time. And we're right now having expensive items, certainly for the lights, for example.
Yeah.
But also cleaning up dog poop is not what people enjoy doing much. I grew up on a farm. I don't really care, but everybody else not necessarily that way.
No, and also, you know, it's not sanitary. I mean, in reality, we should be actually spraying the courts down some way, you know.
An example, that's where those courts 1 and 2, those are where the kids play. If I hadn't cleaned it up, okay, well, it turned out we had a match there, so somebody had to clean it up. But, you know, if we hadn't had a match that day, the kids come up at 2:30. Well, who's cleaning it up at 2:30? Well, we would somehow, right? But there isn't anybody that's on dog watch, right? And I just think the answer is, you know, keep the dogs off the courts.
Yeah, no, makes sense to me. I mean.
So a question, Sam?
No, I think this is probably a couple years ago, we had a conversation about this, but I think it comes down to Richmond not having dog parks. And I think especially in such a highly populated, densely populated part of town, providing some, and I know we don't have dog parks, like Judge Carroll Park, not a dog park. Point Isabel, not a dog park. Why? Because those are designations that have specific kinds of insurance and whatever. And these are not dog parks, although people use them as such, and no one's telling them not to, right? But I think this opens up a conversation. Why not have an off-leash area in a dedicated park?
Right.
Why not?
Well, it turns out in Point Richmond, Judge Carroll Park is right across from the natatorium. For anybody who's there knows that. That essentially is a dog park.
Yes.
It's been a lot of controversy in the neighborhood council about that.
Yes.
And the answer was, it is a dog park, and it really is off leash, but it's not really, quote, supposed to be. But there's that. The other thing I would say is, yes, people familiar with the organization of Yes, which is kind of across from Nickel Park, they are doing some work on looking at Nickel Park and saying, what other kinds of things should we do differently at Nickel Park? And they've been interviewing people. They interviewed me, for example. But there's a good example where Yes, to talk to Yes and say, okay, why not have something like a dog park there? You know, there's room. It could be done, but it just isn't done right now.
I can tell you what the city told us.
What?
At Wendell Park, it was, until it was fenced up, a dog park. I mean, everybody ran their dogs there, believe me. I mean, I would to the point that I won't walk past Wendell with my dog because there's openings where dogs can run out at you. And I don't care what anybody says, they don't have that much control over their animals. But at Wendell, we wanted to put a dog park in when Kaboom came. And the gentleman who had the idea had an excellent idea. It was like 2 to 3 different sections. One section is where the bigger dogs are, one section where the smaller dogs, and one section where they can be against the fence and smell each other. When that got to risk management, oh no, you can't have a dog park. You can't, you know. And I don't know how we're going to get around that. But it would be, you know, I mean, there's one in El Cerrito has a dog park like that. Albany has a dog park like that. Oakland has a dog park like that. I've seen them, you know, I've seen dogs in them, but I don't know why we can't figure a way around it. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but there's probably, you know, in my neighborhood, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 dogs running, you know.
There's a lot of dogs, Right.
Yeah, I do. And there's a lot of people, dogs are, good for getting people out. And you see everybody out walking. Since Wendell has been fenced up, boy, I see more people walking their dogs than it would normally be in there letting their dogs loose.
What I
So,
will do as a follow-up, though, since they did a e-review meeting, this didn't come up, I will go back to yes and just say, in the things you're considering, though, please look at this. It came up at the commission meeting, and since they'd already talked to me once, I could go back and feed that back to them, because they really are coming back with, what are the kind of things we'd like to do at Nickel Park specifically. So I can do that. So, any more questions on the three things I'm talking about? Yeah.
Another point of clarification, and I'm sorry if you addressed this earlier. When you say lock up the courts, who is unlocking them? Is this going to be a code that your organization has?
The locks are a combination lock.
Okay.
And so, so we would do that.
Okay.
So, see?
Would locking up the courts align with the terms of your MOU? Like, does that give you authorization to have exclusive access to those courts?
Only if we have an event there.
Permitted.
No,
You mean like an active
see,
permit?
RTA, part of the MOU really is the practices and matches, or
Yeah.
RTA matches, or USTA matches are actually done there. So we're really like an extension of the rec department.
Yeah.
And that's perspective. So like it says in there, it's locking up except for, it says some event that's actually set up by rec department, including RTA. In fact, RTA has the practices and they also have the matches. So during that time period, they are just available there. However, let's go back to the other thing though. As I said, there's many different teams. And some of the teams like the age 65 and over, they don't have one for me, 80 over, but they have 65 and over. But there's only 3 matches. And so when there's only 3 matches, there's another court that's available. People can come on and be there during that time. So we're there for that event, okay, but we're not using all the courts, so that's okay.
I guess my question comes down to, are you only gonna lock it when it's unpermitted? Like, if RTA has I'm guessing you operate by permits, right?
What?
You operate by permits? You request a permit with the city of Richmond?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
So that it would only be locked during the non-permitted use hours, right?
Right, correct.
Okay.
Right.
No, I ask because no other youth sports organization has the ability to lock up a park when they're not using it. And as much as I sympathize and understand your position, it's a little off-putting that being able to lock up a public facility and keep it away from the public, I totally get it. I'm picking up dog poop too, Gary, right? I'm doing that for soccer as well. But, if that's not a standard practice across various facilities, it could come off as favoritism, it could come off as whatever. And so I think there needs to be some sort of standard practice about that, perhaps language in an MOU that gives you that authority, right? Because then someone's gonna be calling up like, hey, RTA is doing it, why can't we, right? And I'm actually finding a little bit of pushback with other things that other groups are doing that soccer can't, for example, like we can't have storage containers at the parks. Even though we have hundreds of kids using them, I have to drag around, 3 dozen soccer balls, practice goals to and from my house every day because we can't have a storage container, right? And again, if there's a standard language or standard practice, cool. And if it's in your MOU, cool. It's just sometimes these decisions are made without, having kind of a standard way of operating, and it feels like it's not equitable across the different sports, the different groups. So if I could suggest including it in MOU since it's in draft mode, this would be a good time to throw that in there.
What would you put in there?
The ability to lock the courts, having access to being able to close them up. Other cities like São Paulo, for example, they actually hire a security guard, and their job is to be there during permitted hours, and they lock up the bathrooms, the fields, and the parking lot. There's not used during non-permitted hours. And I'm not saying that that's what we should follow, because there are definitely pros and cons to that. But, there are mechanisms, policy languages or whatever, that would allow you to have that kind of privilege. And then being able to review it annually to see if there's ways of addressing, fine-tuning it, So my suggestion would be to see if you can throw that into an MOU.
Yeah, I just wrote that
Yeah.
down. Yep, I'll talk to Tay.
What's an MOU?
Any other questions?
Understanding. Can't even speak.
Or a contract.
It's basically an agreement with the city and an organization, not a, you know, to have some sort of agreement on services or some sort of specific outcomes or something, yeah. And I guess it's usually requires city council approval, right? These require, they go through committees and city council approval eventually, but, yeah.
So it sounds like though for this, like some of these recommendations, that we need to come back with sometime like like when Tay-Tay's here and actually talk about an MOU and just make sure we've covered some of the things we talked about here today. So I'll talk to him about setting up to come back and talk to the commission, if that's okay.
And to be clear, I am very supportive of the idea of locking up courts, especially during league play, because there's nothing worse than showing up to a field and seeing broken glass, seeing human feces, seeing like it is awful because you're not there for that. And a lot of us are volunteers, and it is defeating that we have to deal with. I mean, that's part of the reason why Wendell Park Courts upsets me so much. Like, it is so defeating to continually deal with this.
Yeah, well, you can appreciate, you know, and these guys certainly appreciate it. If you look at facilities of saying, you're always struggling with, you know, people that don't want to do it. Like the sign says, no soccer in here. Well, it has issues around soccer players. I said, there's nice grass out here. But see, the lights, they got lights there, so they could use it at night. And so that had been a problem. We had problems with vandalism from soccer players. And we probably put a system in now where you can turn the lights off at night. You know, you can have practice done, you turn the lights off. And they don't, and that solved that problem, that particular problem. Okay, any other questions? Next slide. Oh, okay, those three were particular vandalism issues that were on the courts. And so what I was going to, and I wanted to cover those first. In fact, I was even going to say, hey, if we've covered all those, can we get a vote and say, agree to lock it up? We'll do the follow-up back with Tay-Tay and the MOU. It seems very appropriate, right? So I'm not going to ask the question. Now we got the opposite problem. If you walk from the rec center and you walk into where the courts are, if you walk into court 4, Alex knows this very well. You go right by, you know, there's a section of grass in there, and there is somebody who uses that for his personal number 2 drop shot. And, you know, so we end up, and it's at least once a week when I am out there with a shovel saying, okay, you know, and maybe have kitty litter on it, but it's just obviously very unacceptable. And you're actually, not for all of us, but it's also, we're playing teams from everywhere else like Claremont, et cetera. In fact, interesting story, when we first started when I first moved here from Oakland, when my wife and I retired, with USCA, you always have an away match and a home match. Like there's maybe 12 teams, and so you have like 6 matches at home. And the first time that the Claremont Resort and Spa, we played there once in an away match, and 2 weeks later we're playing a home match at Nickel. Captain calls me up and he says, I've got some concern. Some of my guys are concerned about coming to Nickel. It's going to be safe. And I said, we have never, and now we've been doing this for 12 years. We have never had an incident at Nickel Park when there's a USTA match. We've had a few disagreements. I've asked some people to leave, they've left. But way back when, well, we had a reputation, right? So, but it's really helped. That area has been very safe. There's not been a problem. So they did come, and we didn't have a problem. That's thankfully. So this one here. I think Alex mentioned it earlier. You put in 4 plants, right? And the hope was that's going to help defer them. Unfortunately, yesterday I cleaned it up again. And they just, you know, it's just, now there is a recommendation. Next slide, which Alex is working on. I understand that MLK does have a security light and camera. In fact, maybe you could, Alex, maybe you could talk about this. We were talking about replicating that at Nickel. So it's actually looking out in that area.
Yeah, so there's a couple different avenues that we've been looking at in regards to either having just a light that would click on when that person or somebody walked there during the night. There's also another one that is a camera that's solar powered that will takes a picture of the person, a voice announces like leave the area, and a light comes on. The couple areas they've used it, it hasn't really deterred people, but you know, maybe this individual potentially would not be as comfortable using that area.
But Alex, I thought you said, don't we have something like that at MLK?
Oh, so there was a conversation here to get one in the back of the restroom area. So that it hadn't been installed yet.
Oh, okay, but that's that same kind of system you're talking about that's there?
Yeah, so they have 10 of them throughout the city. I'm not entirely sure where all their locations are, as CJ is the one who deals with those. But the idea was to put one at MLK as well.
Okay, okay. Next slide.
Alex, you might want to plant some cactus around there, maybe?
I thought about barbed wire. You want to sit down on the barbed wire? No, you can't do that.
Cactus will get you just the same.
Back on the farm, that's why we had barbed wire for keeping the sheep in one place. Restrooms, actually this slide, some of these slides were made up because I was going to talk last month, but at that time, one of the issues was we had a lot of graffiti all in the men's room, interestingly enough. I'm not sure why, well, it's just the guys that did it, but that's been painted over and it looks great. In fact, maybe there's maybe a picture of this. No, there isn't. I did go in there and take a picture, and the walls look great. You know, they're still looking good. The other thing, though, is there is no way to dry your hands in there. And I know we talked about this quite a long time ago with parks folks, and they said, well, you end up with a lot of issues with trash, putting paper. I said, okay, I understand that. I said, why don't we just go ahead and install hand dryers in there? I'm back to the earlier slide now. And it just seems like that way, because people go in there and it just, you know, you don't have any way to dry your hands. And I understand paper issues and also maintaining it, but hand dryers, vandalism probably isn't going to be a problem. So that was a possibility. That was that one. Trash. Talk about the MLU. One of the things on the MLU we have is each one of the 11 teams has a captain. And we actually have rules for captains. And one of the things that we do with the captains is say, what we want to do with your team when you're playing there is you guys also clean up the area. If you look around Nickel Park, around the tennis area, it's pretty clean all the time because we ask our captains, say, hey, you have privilege to play here, just pick up the trash. I pick up a lot of trash there. However, it's also true, that area has a couple barbecue pits, not pits, but you know, stand-up barbecues. And the weekends get a lot of activity. Plus, we have about half those teams, like 6 to 8 of those teams are playing there either Saturdays or Sundays. And usually those things, they're overrunning. And so this was just saying, hey, we should add a third one out there. I don't think we're going to want to come on Saturdays to have you guys pick up the trash. But I think even just getting another trash can, there's an easy answer for stuff that just ends up overflowing from residents are using it just to have a place to barbecue, as well as all the tennis players are going through there. Okay? Oh, Alex mentioned this.
Sorry, I have a question, Gary, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
The trash bins that are there, can you describe what they look like? Are they just open barrels, or are they?
No, there's actually, in fact, somebody mentioned, Tate mentioned this to me. We actually have a barrel on each area where you have 2 teams. And he was saying, and they just cause rust on the courts and stuff. He says, you ought to change them with the other ones. The other ones are the square Richmond ones that have, you know, yeah, what's that?
They have the tile mosaic on them,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's 2 of them there that have the mosaics on them, and one of them has thing on the top they put in recyclables in. The ones that are kind of nice is one they just installed out in Point Richmond where I live, is they've replaced those also with the ones that are, they're metal. They're next to one side's for trash, the other side is for recyclables. That works pretty well. I don't know if we use those in other parks though. That was through the city, but I'm not sure who actually does those.
Thank you.
Alex mentioned this, what we are doing, courts 1 and 2 have some issues with when it rains, you even get rain afterwards, kind of coming up, it's alligator. Anyway, what we're doing is trying to reschedule those. Alex is preparing the specs and managing contractor bidding. I'm going back to USCA. I'm sure I'm going to get USCA to fund half of that. So we're hopefully through USCA and also the city, we get those things done this half of year. And those are, by the way, those are the 2 courts where we have kids as well as USCA batches. And the last one is my wife's wanted to add a slide saying she wanted to be here tonight. She's got, her eyes are really bothering her. She's got asthma issues. So she said, let me just put a slide in. And said, sure, that, by the way, on her hand, that's a Super Bowl ring she has. That's a whole other story. But she wanted to wish you all well, especially would have loved to have you guys getting on. It's just great. So she just want to extend his thanks to joining up. It's a great group, and I think you're really going to enjoy your time here. So thank you. That's all I'll do, and I'll talk with Tay. We'll work on the MOU and schedule coming back in and talk about that. And I will talk to Yes about the idea about a dog park. Is another thought for Nickel Park, for part of Nickel Park. Thank you. Thank you.
So discussion on implementing actions to deter vandalism. We're going to wait for the MOU before we do anything. So that'll be actually tabled until they come back with TJ in that one.
Very good.
Alrighty. Commissioner liaison reports, comments. Anybody have a report? Go ahead.
Not a report, but just a comment. There's a pocket park behind Home Depot called Baxter Creek Park. And I'm just curious what, if any, plans are there. The reason I ask is the other day I had to call the fire department because there was a fire down there. And then a few days later, there was another fire down there. So I'm just kind of curious. I found it on the map and I just wanted to know what's happening down there.
A lot of it's been working with the abatement. And so they go through there and part of it is we're trying to up the amount of times and the presence we have in those locations. Those locations, though, have been very, very difficult to abate and keep people out, especially in that area. Yeah, so basically they've been moving from there over to kind of by Target and then up by San Pablo Road. So the year I've been here, it's been a constant battle, and it's basically just people kind of moving out of the way for the moment. But so far the plan is to been, especially with the right-of-way crew, is to be up the amount of times that we're in that area.
Just a question on that. Is there weekend abatement? Are there staff out there on the weekends?
Weekend hours, there's no full-time staff or regular hours. It's all overtime.
Good God, my brain's losing it. Commissioner Smith, did you have anything you would like to say, talk about, anything?
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I did attend the Commission on Aging Senior Ball. It was a very good time. I've been paying attention. It looks like in the places where I do my rounds, the big bellies are being taken care of very well, so that's good. I've been seeing more of them. I'm curious where the next ones will be placed. That pretty much does it, right now. Civic Center is one of the spots that I'm at, so I pay close attention to that. And the neighborhood parks, you pretty much mentioned, and those were things that I was seeing. So, thank you.
Vice Chair Torres, do you have anything?
I do. Okay, so it was a busy 2 months for me as well. And yeah, Happy New Year. I can't believe it's been, wow, okay, a lot happened. So the most recent was that I joined the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council meeting on January 21st. And everybody was like, we've never had a commissioner come. So I was, really?
Or they don't remember.
Okay, so that's what they told me, that they haven't had a Rec and Park commissioner come and visit them. And I was like, really? So maybe it's a nice opportunity here to go to neighborhood council meetings, show your face, let them know you're interested in, even if it's not your own, like in this case, it was for soccer related stuff, but it was really nice to hear about what's going on in the neighborhood, to meet the different organizations and the folks involved. I also attended the field users meeting last week. I forget the exact date. So twice a year, the city of Richmond holds a field users meeting for all the sports groups that use the ball fields. And it's always the same. It's the usual suspects who show up. It's always the same people show up every time. And we are the unproblematic ones. But it's not a mandatory meeting. So it doesn't require that every single ball field user come to the meeting. And so they miss out on important updates about field maintenance and rules and stuff like that. And we did get into a conversation about the Wendell Park courts, where they had mentioned they're considering locking them up because of all the vandalism, everything Gary basically just said. At Wendell Park courts, that's a huge issue as well. So yeah, baseball is going to be coming up soon. Soccer is going to be starting soon. Adult and youth, and the Charter School League is coming back in spring. I think they're starting pretty soon. One issue that people are mentioning is that the permits are not getting out, and a lot of us are depending, my organizations included, are depending on late February start times, and we still don't know what our permits are going to be like. It seems like there's been some staffing changes occurring within the office responsible for permitting. So I'm not sure what's going on, but we're all like anxiously awaiting for what we're going to get or what we're not going to get, because we can't plan, those hundreds and hundreds of kids that need the space. We can't plan ahead if we don't know what we're going to get. At least from the school district side, they seem to have they're starting to get out permits faster, and they're starting to get all that stuff figured out sooner. So yeah, in terms of planning, we need at least a month really. For all the planning, and our league schedules are going to be coming out soon. So the sooner we know, the better we can start planning ahead. And then I attended the Main Street Task Force Initiative. For those who don't know, the McDonald Avenue corridor has a task force with city council members, the mayor. There is an organization dedicated to downtown initiatives, so economic development, business retention, facade improvement, which is a grant that's available now for those of you who are interested and have a business in the McDonald corridor. And I will actually be presenting there on Tuesday for a proposal to activate the vacant land on McDonald Avenue for World Cup soccer activities. So if anyone's interested, it's not exactly commissioner work, but it is related to recreation. Lastly, AB 310. So we are down to a year. AB 310 is the Nevaeh's Act. It is a state of California law that requires that all youth sports organizations have two things. One, all adults need to have CPR and AED training. And that law goes into effect January 1st, 2027. So we got a year to get all of our coaches, referees, team managers, officials who are 18 and older to have that credential. And then by 2028, we have to have an AED on site for every game and practice. And this is for any youth sports. This isn't just soccer, right? Baseball, pickleball, tennis, whatever. And so one thing I'm trying to work on, and I'm trying to get ahead of it now, and I'm hoping to get all of y'all's support here, is trying to find ways of, instead of expecting every organization, like for example, my organization, I would need at least 4 AEDs for the different facilities that are actively playing at the same time. You know, we don't have a sports complex, so I have 400 players across 4 different fields throughout town. So that means I would need 4 AEDs at each site. Each AED is like 4 Gs. I mean, you wonder why youth sports is getting expensive. It's because I have to do stuff like this, right? So instead of doing that, if there's a way to work with our facilities, our permits, to see if there's a way of standardizing access to AEDs without placing that burden on youth sports organizations who are already, you know, overextending themselves, trying to keep things affordable for families and kids. So I'm going to be bringing up AB 310 a lot more. We need to come up with solutions because I don't want to spend $16,000, $20,000 on AEDs, and that would mean every single organization would have to do the same. And that's it for me.
Commissioner Jen, do you have anything?
I do, actually, touching back on, what is it, Baxter Park, the one behind Home Depot, Baxter Creek. That's actually connected to, as well as like a bike path, thoroughfare. And yeah, I've ridden on that. I don't know if anybody else has had that pleasure. But there's no lights, there's always broken glass, all kinds of trash, all kinds of garbage. It would definitely be a really nice thing to give that area some focus, just because it's also a nice thoroughfare where you're not riding on San Pablo, where you're not riding on Carlson part of the way, as a way to get to that part of the city. I live on Carlson in South 43rd, and it's dark. We have no lights. It's been over a year. Different people I need to speak to about that, but even being a cyclist trying to ride on that thoroughfare as a way to avoid getting hit on Carlson, it's pretty sketchy, because not only, you know, of the trash, the debris, the glass, but there's also all kinds of characters out there. So that is my concern. So thanks for bringing that up.
And Commissioner Romy, do you have anything that you'd like to talk about?
Not as much. I will say that I am an assistant coach in El Cerrito Youth Baseball, because based on where we are located in the school district, most of my kids' friends are in El Cerrito. But we will be practicing in Central Park, which we did not mention as one of the ballparks, but I believe that is Richmond, just barely. So I'll be watching. I don't know if this is a time that we can respond to what was said earlier, but I thought, am I misremembering that there was some plan for that bikeway?
There's always some plan for the.
Yeah.
There's the two issues. See, there's the bringing the other side of 23rd coming across there to Carlson. And so that every time they talk about that, I'm just kind of like, could you figure some other, they want to do some kind of overpass or crazy, I don't know, lots of money. So they really haven't done anything. And then the other way, they they have the signal there so you can cross San Pablo, but they really haven't done anything else that, we do have a bicycle and pedestrian group that you can talk to, see what they've got planned. Yeah, I don't know past that.
That's all for me.
I did not know that park was Richmond, by the way. I learned something new today. Central Park?
Over on Central Avenue?
Yeah.
I believe it's still Richmond.
I think it is. According to the according to Google Maps, it is. I had no idea. Yeah. Wow, mind blown. Thank you.
It's right on the border, though.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because across the street, that vacant lot, that's Richmond too.
Oh, okay.
And Pacific East Plaza is Richmond too.
Yeah.
So you kind of, Richmond kind of goes like this everywhere. Yeah. I never thought of, forgot that, I know that park's there, but I never thought about that. Commissioner Rogers, do you have anything that you want to say?
I have many things that I'm curious about, but I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up. Maybe there are agenda items for future, but I could list out some of the things that are on my mind, and maybe someone can talk to me directly about it, or we can decide if it's something we want to talk about more. I'm definitely curious just to hear like get an overall understanding of kind of budgets and how this is working, places where we have money to spend, or not we, but there's money to spend or not spend, or what the limitations are, and just start getting a better handle on that stuff, because I know those are where kind of the tires meet the road. Also curious to hear about any potential plans for new parks or proposals, or what the process is for that, and how when those types of things come up. I think earlier you were mentioning that there were real risks that prevented us from building a dog park. I put that down as an item. I just would love to understand what prevented that, and make sure we get educated on those types of problems that are actually preventing changes from happening that need to happen. And then probably the only other thing I had was just partially a comment and partially maybe something for the commission to think about. But I love how knowledgeable everyone is here about parks, and I love the name dropping of parks, and it's like writing them down. I'm like, okay, gotta go to that park, gotta check that out. I think I don't know if we have a system for adopting a park as commissioners, so that we kind of are making sure we're getting visibility into different parks. I know for me, that's going to be a personal goal, is trying to go to different parks than the ones I always go to. And I don't know if that's going to be, I also be curious how helpful, or if there's a system we can collaborate on with, sorry, is your name Shannon? Or is that just the sign that's in front of you?
He's not Shannon.
Alex.
No, I'm Alex.
Okay, if there's a way for us to collaborate with Alex, sorry, Alex. First day, a way for us to collaborate with you and to get reports over to you, or I'd be fine going to a different park, once or twice a month, taking some pictures, bringing it to you, allowing it for you to triage that with your team and things like that, right? Ways that we could just be more tangibly helpful with that. So I know that was a total brain dump here of just things that I'm thinking about, but yeah.
Not a brain dump, that's really great.
Yeah.
Actually, they had sent out a list of parks, but now that you both are here, we should probably revisit that and break it up for the commissioners. Because I did actually go during our little 2 months that we were away from each other. I did actually go to Parchester Park and took some photos, walked around, and that was right before they did the ceremony where they did the planter beds and stuff. And that was my first time ever being to the park, so it was pretty cool to see that. But is that something that we can revisit, is going through the list of parks? Because I think that's also a really good idea. I had actually sent Christine photos that I had taken from the park, and it's really cool to know that they went back and they attended to it. More of that.
Yeah, there's.
Oh, there they are.
Here's your photo.
There you go.
This is sorry.
Yeah.
This is pre what everybody did with the planter beds and stuff, but I mean, it's just such a beautiful little park, and our kids and our families and people in our residents deserve
Good things.
Yes, we all.
Our
and
kids deserve good things.
Our kids all deserve good things, as well as it being equitable for everybody. I like what you had to say about an MOU around, access, for the tennis, that kind of stuff. It's we all have to be equitable. Every park deserves the same attention.
Is there a way, if I may, is there a way to, without violating Brown Act, we have a lot of new commissioners who kind of need information, for example, the special assessment districts. I'm sure a lot of people don't know about that, and those are really important considerations. Is there a way to have a Parks and Rec 101 type of thing, or I don't know, I'm just putting it out there. Maybe that's a Christine question or something, but anyways, yeah, we need a little bit of catch up, and if we could work out some sort of training, including a Brown Act training, actually, we probably need that too.
Yeah.
There was a video that was sent out about it, and I actually accidentally watched it twice because there's two links, but they were the same thing, and I watched them at different times. And then by the end, I realized I was watching the exact same thing pretty much. So I know, right?
Yeah, for an extra fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind. Yeah, maybe we can do that at our next meeting. Is just kind of go over the parks, maybe divide them up between, neighborhood parks, community parks, play lots, that kind of thing, and make it so it, get an idea, because we have all these different kind of parks. So it's trying to, like, what's a play lot? I don't know. I thought it was a park. I don't know. Now it's not a park, so.
I didn't know Central Park was Richmond, like,
That tells you, yeah.
there's 56 parks?
56, 57, somewhere
56
around
parks in town, right? 56?
Yes, 56.
Yeah, so we got a lot of parks.
Yeah.
54?
Only 54? Jeez.
So Central Park, just to update on that, we do have an MOU with El Cerrito, and so they do the maintenance, and basically we contribute financially to them. Yeah. Chair, I'd be happy to put like an overall if you wanted. I know it was helpful for me when I onboarded to learn kind of the structure of not only Public Works, but, other departments. So I'd be willing to give an overarching of what Public Works is, the different units, how we all interact, what our responsibilities are, and I can go into explaining Hilltop, L&D, and Marina Bay, and kind of that. I'd be happy to do that if you guys wanted that type of presentation.
Yeah, I think
we
that
could
might,
put
and
together.
the same thing maybe with recreation, what each different recreation space does. Some people don't know about the, I don't know how, the initials. The one on Barrett 19th, the old fire station.
DPRC.
DPRC, yes.
So one of my goals, and I'm talking to Rajan about that, is to have each coordinator come to, each meeting, not all of them at once, but either one or two, and they can talk about, what they do at their community center, what programs they run, or any questions that you might have. Like,
Yeah.
Dorchester.
I don't know what, I was reading the recreation that Stephanie sends to me every month or two, or every week, it seems like sometimes. And I didn't realize that they actually have a gym at the rec center itself.
Oh, no.
They have a gym. I was very impressed. Yeah, $5.
The gym's been there since there was a train in Nickel Park. That's what
Well, I know that. That's old stuff.
Okay.
That's the part everybody goes, there was a what? Oh,
Jana Farm,
I told people
Jana
stories
Vivarium,
about
yeah.
what the place used to look like, and they're like, really? Like we live someplace, I don't know, some other land. Well, it's like the Indian reservation on the old Santa Fe train, old Santa Fe
So when you said
Depot.
gym, you mean fitness center gym?
Yes,
Oh,
fitness
okay.
center
I
gym.
thought- I thought you meant gymnasium, sorry.
BTA has a nice new one.
Oh, I have to keep up on that. I have to keep up on that. Yes, go ahead.
I appreciate the offer. I'm wondering if you have any materials already developed for onboarding new staff that could be repurposed or, without having to actually adjust anything that could be shared with the new members.
I don't have any onboarding specific for commissioners. What I was speaking to is kind of like what our kind of span of control and what our operation looks like is kind of what that offer is. I would say, and you can, in your free time, please go to the city of Richmond, go to our department, go to the Parks and Landscape landing page. We have a lot of information. I'd say look at the Parks Master Plan, look at our urban greening plan. There's a lot of information contained in those. We have a list of all of our parks, all of the amenities, and a map of where they're at. There's a lot of bountiful information there if you guys wanted to poke around there to kind of get up to speed.
Were you sent the commissioner handbook and all of that information?
Yes, I've been reading the handbook and the master plan
Okay.
and all that. Thank you.
Yeah, just,
The 2010 master plan?
I don't know the specific date, but I think, yes.
Yeah,
It
that
was a
sounds
few
right.
years old, but yes.
Yeah, we are, Yeah, that's pretty old.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I worked for days. Yeah, I think that, yeah, and you can always send Christine an email if you have stuff that you want to ask one of us in particular. I just always tell everybody, go through Christine. It just safer that way. Can't get in trouble. If we don't have anything else, you may as well adjourn the meeting. It is now 7:58, and we are adjourned for this evening.